Live from the KC Property Guys and KC Pier studio in beautiful Kansas City. Home to over 200 fountains and more barbecue restaurants per capita than anywhere in the nation. It's the Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders Show, a show about industry leaders from the local Kansas City metro market for Kansas City real estate related professionals and enthusiasts like you. And now, here's your hosts, Eric and Lucas Shaley.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Lucas Shaley, and welcome back to another Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Eric Shaley, as well as structural consultant for KC Pier, Eric Lancaster. You want to start it off for us?
Yeah, you bet. So we have we're kind of coming back from our COVID break, and we've been safety construction on KC Pier and KC Property Guys, so we're busy. But we've taken a break from the podcasting as we've kind of navigated through these waters and let things kind of pace themselves out. But we're gonna jump back in, and today we're gonna spend some time with Eric on from the KC Pier side. And welcome to studio, by the way.
Glad to be here.
But we're gonna spend some time talking about something that we think is really timely, which is waterproofing. And waterproofing basements, specifically for our Kansas City foundations, is something that we hear a lot. Especially this time of year, probably 7 out of 10 calls are waterproofing calls, and Lucas is out, filming and marketing and documenting our work with Brian, our operations director, and so you'll see if you ever go to YouTube and look up our channel, you'll see a lot of his work, and a lot of it is based off of waterproofing that Eric is consulting and selling. So
and that's just KC Pier on YouTube if you guys are interested.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thank you. And so we have Eric in here today to talk about different types of waterproofing, from the most affordable to the real extensive, from remediating waterproofing to addressing it from the source. And so we're going to kind of walk you through all those options, and hopefully some of the things that you can talk about that we talk about that you can relate to at home. And of course, if you ever need us to come take a look and more specifics and actually add a consultation, we're happy to do so. So let's kind of jump right in. So we'll start kind of talking from the affordable to the most extensive and the different types of repairs, and maybe you can kind of start on that, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, one of the most common that we probably see would be our crack injection repair. And what that is really done on is just a single crack that someone may see. A lot of times it comes off a window or something. Yep. And people see where it's got some water staining, maybe even some dirt and silt has kind of come through that crack. You guys, I'm sure you've seen this before. And then sometimes there's a little bit of the white material left behind. It indicates that water's been coming in there for quite a while. Right. So at that point, you really want to address that, but don't fret about it. A lot of times people, when they see cracks, they immediately think, $20,000 or something. Yeah. But with the crack injections, it's very affordable. We can do it in a couple of hours. Snap us some pictures if you want to. Send it to us through the app, things like that. And we can certainly talk to you about it and get it done at a very affordable price. And something we're going to put a warranty behind as well.
So when a crack injection takes place, can you kind of understand or maybe describe the process itself?
Absolutely. Again, it's very quick. We can do this in a couple of hours most of the times. The face of the crack itself is covered in our 2-part epoxy. Then if you do this with your hand, about every 6 to 8 inches or so, there's a plastic port that's put on that crack. Mm-hmm. That allows us to actually get our injection material into the crack. Gotcha. It goes in like a liquid, and then it rapidly turns into foam once it hits the air. What that allows it to do is spread through the entire crack, no matter how big or how wide it is, and tightly secure that so that no water can then come through.
And that face that you put on the surface of that crack, and those ports are there for a reason, because when you inject that epoxy, you don't want that epoxy coming back out the crack. Exactly. We want to inject as deep into that crack as possible, ideally actually getting to the other side, because that's where the water's coming from. Correct. Right? And so that's what those ports are there for. And so we see a lot of work. In fact, we were just working on a house out in Gladstone that KCPG Realty Group was selling, and they're having us out to actually resolve the issue because it was DIY.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
It was bad.
And so you see the old, hey, I'm going to take plaster, I'm going to take grout, and I'm going to kind of shove it in that crack and cross my fingers and hope for the best. Well, there is truly a strategy to a port-injected epoxy. And
long story short, that DIY failed.
It does fail,
Yeah.
and you could actually see the water and you could see the residue still coming through that crack. So by sealing it, porting it, ejecting it, and trying to address the other side of the crack from the inside, it's affordable,
Correct.
yet extremely effective, and you can warranty it.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
That's the best part. So yeah, we do a lot of work with realtors as well, and
say that,
and homeowners, and so for realtors that see those cracks. Are there differences, and even for homeowners, differences between the diagonal crack and the horizontal crack? Can you inject both of those equally?
You can inject both of those equally. They tell you different things structurally, which we can talk about at some point, but they can all be injected, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And some of those cracks aren't bad cracks. You ever see cracks that you don't have to address?
Sometimes, absolutely. A lot of them are on the form seams because when this concrete is initially poured, they have forms. And so where those forms come together, you all can see this in your basement. You see a little bit of excess concrete, right? And a lot of times those crack because it is a natural weak point. But it doesn't mean we have to address it. It doesn't mean it's going to leak. It's just concrete cracks.
Yeah, the ones we really want to address are the ones that are showing some signs of true intrusion.
Yeah, showing that staining.
Right, some form of staining. All right, so that's an affordable fix, crack injections. Now the next level, let's say there's more water coming in, or it's not coming from the cracks, it's coming from other places. Where are some areas that water will intrude that we ultimately address with homeowners?
Probably a lot of times it would be the hydrostatic pressure element of it. When these basements are poured, this concrete slab in the bottom and your concrete foundation wall are not poured at the same time. It's not a congruent concrete pour there. So there's a natural seam there at the bottom. And so when we get all this water like we do every spring in Missouri and Kansas, it builds up a lot of pressure underneath the slab and on the walls. And so water is going to take the path of least resistance. So even if you don't have cracks on your walls, it can still come through that seam down there. Sometimes it's weird. You get water, you don't have any cracks. You're like, why is there water here? And it's coming through that seam down at the bottom.
Yep, it's a cold joint, right? It's actually set concrete on concrete.
Yep.
And so the water table builds up with a lot of rain. This is really timely for our spring foundation. So the water table's building up. That pressure is building. You call it hydrostatic pressure, is building on the outside of the wall. And if it builds up enough, it's going to find the path of least resistance into the home. So if that cold joint is not heavy enough to hold that water and that pressure out, it leaks.
It comes in.
All right. So what do we do?
A lot of times we do we can start with doing our pump system. Our pump system, the basin itself is about 30 inches around. It goes down about 3 feet below the slab itself. And we also dig that out a little bit bigger so that we can encase the whole thing in gravel. So we're basically creating the path of least resistance at that point. So it doesn't ever get a chance to build up enough pressure where it comes through that joint, goes to our pump it out away from your house.
Yeah, that's the great thing. So if you can kind of think of a water table as like a pond or a lake that's underneath your house.
Yep.
Right? And when enough rain comes in, that lake has to rise.
Right.
Same thing is happening under houses. People don't realize it because you don't see it.
Right.
But it's happening. And so if it builds up enough and reaches that cold joint, it's going to come through that cold joint if there's enough pressure.
Yep.
Or you can put in this basin that will cut that off because it's built underneath the foundation. So as that water level rises, you hit that sump pump.
Correct.
We put gravel around there to diffuse the water and allow it to hit the pump before it hits the cold joint.
Exactly.
Dry basements then are the result, right?
Exactly. It is, yeah.
Yeah, but sump pumps address one side of the home. You can't put sump pumps every 6 foot. It's not cost effective, right?
Right.
You don't do that. But what if we have multiple places at which that water table is rising? Then how do we address that ultimately?
So we do that with our interior drain system. Probably our most popular system, especially when someone is trying to finish out their basement. They have us put this system in there. So just like you said, rather than putting a bunch of sump pumps all the way around, we're going to take a drain. Most homes are built with a drain tile on the outside of the home.
Yep.
So again, going back to why this is so popular, it's cost effective as well because we basically take that same drain, if you imagine on the outside, we just do it on the inside. So we take a little bit of concrete slab out there next to all the walls, and then we dig down 6 to 8 inches in there, put our a 4-inch corrugated pipe down there right next to the footing.
Right.
And that is able to carry the water from several different places that it may be coming in and direct it all back to the pump system.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. The podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your likes, shares, and support. Now, back to the show.
That's the beauty of that, and Lucas sees this a lot on his marketing videos.
Yeah, I do.
He sees a lot of drain work, and so we actually break through the concrete. You've seen these guys
break
work
through the concrete, and then they add the gravel after the draining system. And sometimes even with the rock walls, they'll actually have to add a grate in there to get it down into the draining system, which is really cool.
A really good point, because
Yeah.
now people are saying, I've heard that you can't address a rock wall. We got a lot of rock foundations in Kansas.
We've had 3 in the past week, actually.
And
Which is
Kansas
pretty
City
crazy.
just has
Yeah, that's true.
quite a few of them. They have block. It doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Doesn't
we have an interior drain system regardless of the type of foundation.
To suit everyone.
And regardless of the basement, our sump pump will be strong enough. And if you guys are interested in seeing what kind of sump pump we use specifically here at KC Pier, we do have that video on YouTube as well. So
Actually, yeah,
go
just
check it out.
just put up, so it's excellent. So we're addressing, if you've kind of caught on to what we're doing, we're addressing the problem from the inside of the home, because that's always most affordable, right? It's almost like you're not necessarily addressing the problem from the source, and which we're going to get into next. But obviously, if you address it from the source, that's the outside of the home. You got to be able to dig all that out. And so we're going to talk about that. We've been doing it from the inside of the home. So creating that interior drain, we actually break through the concrete. We'll create that drain. We'll run it to a sump pump, and we'll get the water out of there. And then the concrete guys will all come back and replace those. And you can combine, by the way, an interior drain with other resolutions, which we're not necessarily talking about. But if you got a wall that's leaning in, or what we call rolling, or that horizontal crack that you mentioned earlier that structurally is compromising the integrity of the wall,
Right.
we can address that along with an interior drain.
We can. Here at KC Pier, we are all about options. We want to give you options on what to do. So say, for instance, 3 of your walls are having a lot of water intrusion. We want to make sure we catch that with the interior drain. But say the 4th wall has 1 small crack on it. We can inject that crack. We don't have to run the drain all the way down that side. There are definitely many different ways that we can do something on the same house with several different types of repairs to, again, be cost effective for the homeowner.
Yeah, we call those A, B, and C's, and give homeowners kind of the power to choose and actually talk about the repercussions and long-term effects of doing
warranties,
each of those. So
absolutely.
I think there's some power there. All right, so now we want to make sure that all the repairs that we've talked about so far have warranties to them.
Yes.
There is a lifetime warranted product that involves waterproofing the exterior of the home. You want to kind of go into
Absolutely.
that piece?
You talked a little bit about different types of cracks earlier. And a lot of times when we have diagonal cracks on each side of a wall, the wall starts to lean in the center. Or if you have horizontal cracks down the middle, the wall bows in the center. So those type of cracks that are kind of offset on the inside that you can see, they're basically telling you, number one, you probably got water coming in, but number 2, you're having too much pressure on that wall to the extent where you have to then dig it up. When we dig up these walls, we're able to alleviate that pressure by removing the soil burden on the wall. The clay is what does all this, right?
Right.
Expands and contracts with water. We remove that clay. We're able to then straighten those walls. We brace them. But then going back to the main point of what we're talking about today, waterproofing, we put our rubber membrane on the outside of the wall. Now, again, with what you're saying, that stops the water before it even has a chance to penetrate that crack at all.
Yep.
And so, of course, that is, that's the number 1 lifetime warranty. Let's stop it before it gets in type of fix.
The Cadillac fix. It's the exterior waterproofing, and in new construction, it should already have a waterproofing component to it. It tends to be sprayed on.
It's real thin.
Right. And the drain that sits at the footing on the exterior sometimes sits there a little too early. And as contractors come in and out and big equipment comes in and out as they're working on that site, a lot of times that drain will actually get pushed away from the foundation, so it's not operating to its fullest potential.
Yeah, it gets clogged.
It gets clogged. The gravel doesn't get set. Sometimes it doesn't get set at all, and we've seen everything.
Right.
So coming in and basically redoing what should be done in a much higher quality is ultimately what our exterior waterproofing produces.
It is. Yeah.
It's a lifetime product. It's the membrane is not a spray. It's an actual membrane that's adhered, to the exterior of that home.
Yeah, and again, going back to creating path of least resistance for the water, that's what we do again with this system. It really, ideally, foundation walls would be backfilled with gravel right from the beginning, but it's just something that contractors don't spend money on a lot of times. And so again, when we remove that soil burden, you're talking about 2.5, 3 foot wide trench on the entire length of a wall. And then once that new pipe's put in, the wall's waterproof with the membrane. The kicker is we fill that trench back up with the gravel. Because the gravel's not clay. It won't expand and contract. It won't push your wall. And getting back to the path of least resistance, it sheds that water real quick down
Puts
to
it
the
down
pipe.
into the pipe. Yep.
Exactly. And then that pipe runs to a pump. We pump it away. So it's all about creating that path of least resistance before the water has a chance to get inside your house.
There are differences because a lot of people won't take the time, the expense to coordinate that gravel in terms of the competitive matrix that we see.
Absolutely.
So we actually take the time to bring that gravel in because we don't want the clay back on the exterior of the home. That clay expands, will repressure that wall and potentially burden the warranty over time. Right. So by bringing in the gravel, we'll leave the last 20% so you can do your gardening.
Sure, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's put 80% gravel so it'll filtrate and won't pressure that wall, and we can put a lifetime warranty on that work. In fact, we've done this enough now, and Lucas has been out in the field enough that we've documented a lot of great video, and there is
I believe we're up to 32 videos on YouTube now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's one for every type of fix. One that really kind of comes to mind is our gardener.
That's not even including the podcasts that we do for the KC Pier side too. So.
Right. Our gardener video that we did a couple weeks ago, it says an big exterior waterproof, I think, in gardener.
Yeah.
That's a really good one to take a look at and walk through that project because not only are you going to see the exterior waterproofing, but you're also going to see a little bit of everything.
You will.
You'll see some beams. You'll see some sump pumps. You'll see some repair of the concrete. You'll see a white wall. I'd like to talk about the wall shield a little bit.
White wall.
Right? We kind of skipped over that, but can you mention the wall shield?
Yeah, the wall shield is another component to our interior drain system that we do on the inside. So in other words, with the interior drain system along the bottom of the wall, we're going to catch a lot of it that's trying to roll in the cold joint, right? We're going to catch a lot of that pressure. A lot of people will say, what about if the water comes through the wall at all? How's it going to get down to the drain? That's where the wall shield comes in.
Right.
So along that entire wall where we have our interior drain at the bottom, we're going to put this wall shield up. It's 4x8 sheets of mold-resistant, rot-resistant, hard paneling is what it is.
Yep.
And that is attached to the wall there. So you can imagine if anything would come in behind that through the wall, it has no choice but to go down to our drain. Again, we're just redirecting water to get it out away from your house.
Right.
And then we pour that concrete back down there. And you're left with a really nice product.
It's a
Bright
very
white,
great finished product,
clean too,
built into the interior drain. That's the key there is building it into the drain so it effectively can work in congruency with the interior drain itself.
And a lot of people leave it. I mean, a lot of people don't even finish their basements over it because it looks so nice. But if you do want to finish your basement, you can stud right up to it. Doesn't affect the interior finish of your basement at all. In fact, a lot of people have us do it before they finish their basements just to get that lifetime warranty for water so that they can be confident in finishing their basement out.
You bet.
If you have kids, you have a nice canvas.
That's
yeah,
true.
really.
It's wall art.
And it's washable.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, good point. So anyway, if you guys have if you guys go down to your basements, we always like to talk about this too. There is a KC Pier app.
There is.
Which you can download. And on that app, it's real simple. It's point and shoot, put some comments. It comes directly to us. It goes to Eric and Brian, structural consultants here at KC Pier. They're going to call you within 24 hours and give you an idea of what you're looking at. And then if we need to come out and obviously look at it personally, we're more than happy to do that. But it's a great way to operate, especially for realtors. If you're in houses and you want to give your buyer some confidence and you want to be able to talk professionally about what you're seeing, take a look at that app. It's contactless, which is actually a really heavy term right now
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
for those that are sensitive, that it's a great way to communicate
Absolutely.
to us directly without us not necessarily being there. And then if you want to see these fixed, I talked about a lot of the work that Lucas is doing on YouTube with KC Pier, and we're documenting all of our fixes. Please go to YouTube and search KC Pier, and you'll see our channel with all our fixes.
Yep, and as well as an app walkthrough. So if you guys are a little bit confused on how to use it, it'll be right there
It's
for you.
there as
Right.
well.
Right.
All right, anything else to add?
I think that's it.
The waterproofing is a really hot term. We're going to have 2 to 4 inches, of even actually from here through Sunday or Monday of this week. So if you ever need to get a hold of us, just give us a call here at KC Pier. We'll be happy to get these guys out here and take a look and help you get straightened up and get you on a warranty that will last up to a lifetime.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining this episode of Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders Podcast. Go ahead and like us on Facebook as well as our YouTube channel at KC Pier, and we'll catch you on the next episode. You guys have a great day.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders Show. Please support all things local to Kansas City. And hey, be sure to subscribe and share our podcast on Facebook and LinkedIn. This has been a KC Property Guys production. KCPropertyGuys.com.